speakers already saying, advancement meeting. Advancement meeting. So this is the gist of that advancement meeting, what we would like to do. I mean, together with the national partners, we have been conducting trials for now, quite some time now. So this meeting, or the main objective of this meeting is to really look at the data that has been generated by national partners, in this case TARI, but also the other national partners from other countries who are very well represented over here, and to also to look at the combined data, right? And then based on the combined data and based on the country level data, jointly can we really identify the candidates which will be taken from stage 1 to stage 2, and then from stage 2 to the next stage. Very, very important, capacity building. I'm sure you would have looked at the agenda, or you would have gone through the agenda. We have built in purposefully we have built in very important component of capacity building in this entire 5-day session. You would see that day 3, most of the day 3 is actually on the capacity building. And then day 4 and day 5 is entirely on capacity building. So as we were discussing before, that capacity building is so critical for this region to really bring to the speed. And from that perspective, whatever key gaps that we have observed, and again the way we have designed the capacity building module is based on the feedback that we received during last year's advanced meeting, and also based on the time-to-time interaction that we are having with the national partners. We are able to kind of identify that what are the key capacity gaps and how can we jointly address that. Last one, but which is very, very, very important, is that networking. This is an opportunity for everyone to know each other. What are we doing? Are there any challenges that we are facing in our day-to-day work? How can person sitting next to me can be of my help? How can, let's say, somebody sitting on the next table can be of my help to really improve my, let's say, breeding program or my rice research program? So it's very important. Just feel free to talk to as much people as possible, and just try to make best use of this opportunity from networking standpoint. And very, very importantly, despite all those meeting related objectives, what is so critical for us, and the single most driving factor why each one of us is already here is that we want to really contribute to the food security, income security, nutrition security of the region by developing and disseminating, rather jointly developing and jointly disseminating improved rice varieties for the region, for the smallholder farmers of the region. So that is our single most driving factor. Structure of the meeting. So I'm sure Sankalp already briefly described or at least briefly touched base on the breeding strategy, which is at the global level, but then which is so fine-tuned to meet the local needs, Africa needs. And again, in the course of tomorrow's session, we also will be talking briefly about the global strategy and how that is fine-tuned for Africa. We also have country presentations, because it is so important that we hear from you. We hear from you what is current what is the current level of, let's say, rice sector or rice research sector in your countries, respective countries. But at the same time, there are those key gaps, and then where can this collaboration that we were talking about, whether it is collaboration from IRRI side or collaboration from any other national, bringing pipeline wise combined data analysis and then joint advancement. Again, it's your data, it's your decision, and it's your joint advancement. We also have slotted in some perspective from the donor community. So we have Dr. Gary from BMGF, he will be speaking to us tomorrow. And we have Dr. Sarah Smith from GIZ. So she also will be taking some time to really talk to us about and giving their perspective from their side for Africa. Israel. Yeah, at the same time, we have also scheduled some presentations from the AD colleagues and also from AfricaRice and CIAT colleagues. to understand some of the advances in rice science, and also to really understand from the best practices, for example, like the CIAT, the best practices that they are really adopting in DSR system. It is so important for us also to understand what is it and how can we replicate that success in this part of the world. One important thing, and this is the one that Dr. Camilo, this is the one that we were discussing with Honorable PS also, that this tool, SIDCast, it is the digital tool which is basically geared up to understand and to capture the real-time market demand for quality seed. And actually several rounds of consultation with the key stakeholders, key seed chain stakeholders in Tanzania, modified the previous version. The previous version that we had for Asia, we completely modified that to suit the needs coming from Tanzanian stakeholders. And again, very, very importantly, that this tool will be institutionalized at the country level. So it is not a tool, it is basically Tanzanian government tool. And as I mentioned, the capacity building, we already structured that in our plan. Now the expectation from this meeting, I think, as I mentioned before, jointly identified lines, between the national partners and IRRI for advancement. But then, more importantly, enhanced understanding of the regional, enhanced understanding of the regional researchers, whether it is IRRI researchers coming from various countries, or national researchers or NAS researchers. So enhanced understanding of some of those advanced topics in rice research. Better understanding of what are the critical elements to improve your own rice research program. As I mentioned before, just keep your eyes and senses open, and just try to understand what are the key gaps in your own program and how can we bridge those gaps with the help of collaboration. As I mentioned, very, very key, networking. To bridge those critical gaps that I just mentioned, just make use of this opportunity. Network as much as possible. Try to understand, where are the strengths for other people, or where are your strengths and weaknesses, and how can we really collaborate. And lastly, let's make it an interactive workshop. So it's really your own workshop, your session. So please do not hesitate to ask questions. Please do not hesitate to really interrupt at any point that you think that it is something which is not really going down well. Yeah. Please do not hesitate to give suggestions. As I mentioned, we are really here to learn from each other. So just make it as interactive as possible and make it as an learning opportunity. So with that, I think I have one more slide. Sorry. So. All right. So in that direction, we already started, taking one constructive step, and I was mentioning to Honorable PS and also Tari DG that we had 2 days working session with the Tari team, and all these Tari researchers came from all the centers in Tanzania. They came from Okiriguru, they came from Lake Zone, they came from Eastern Zone, they came from Southern Highlands, and also one representative from ministry. She was there all 2 days. And what we did was we looked at the critical needs for Tanzania. And then we came up with a kind of draft plan. So the work plan for short duration, which is between 2024 up until 2027, 3 years. But more so on the longer term basis also. So 2024 up until 2030, which is aligning with the NRDS 2 strategy. Now, we have very good understanding on both the sides. One, what are the technical needs? So, we had breeding and pathology as one major component. We had seed system as one major component. We also had mechanization, post-harvest and so on as one component. And we also had agronomy and DSR. And we looked at what are those critical needs in each of those strategic components or thematic areas. Again, short term and then long term. On the top of everything, we also looked at the zone-wise prioritization. So we have, let's say, Lake Zone, Eastern Zone and Southern Highlands. So what should be the top priority for Southern Highlands for next 3 years, or let's say, the next 7 years or 6 years? What should be the top priority for, let's say, Eastern Zone? So now, this is the joint plan developed by TARI, and of course, with the help from IRRI. But this is the country plan which we really would like, to take it as a kind of, formal plan, or let's say, strategic direction for us to move forward. As I was told by the minister, the representative from Ministry, and also Dr. Bilal, who represented the Director Policy and Planning from Ministry, is that we also may have to submit this report back to Ministry, and of course to TARI leadership as well, right? But I think as an outcome of this 2 days very intense workshop was that we have very good understanding now on the technical side and also on the geographic distribution. With that, I think I will stop it here. But thank you again. I am looking forward for very good discussion.
This meeting, as Ajay mentioned, is to jointly analyze the data from our partners and to advance lines from stage 1 to stage 2, and from stage 2 to NPT or MET. And one of the key objectives is to hear from our NAS partners. The data they have, the rice sector in their countries, and this is the next session. We hear from Tanzania, Kenya, Mozambique, Burundi, Malawi, and the DRC. Those are the countries who will make the presentations, but we have also behind you some posters from Botswana, Madagascar, Uganda, South Sudan, and Zambia. So,
I'd just like to make this, I think, extend the message from Dr. Babu Karmani, Honorable Director General of AfricaRice. So he wishes us all the best. He also thanks our host, TARI, and also all the participating national centers. So he couldn't be here, and some of the colleagues couldn't be here in time, but naturally, as we are the natural partners in rice in Africa, I think he is very much keen and interested on what progress we are doing. So again, my job was to extend his message to all of you, and he wishes us all the best for the workshop. So thank you, Alexis. That was the message.
Thanks. So the rice breeding for Tanzania. Casey, you have 15 to 20 minutes maximum.
I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to present our case. Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present the rice activities, particularly those related to breeding from Tanzania. I'll start by much has been said by the Permanent Secretary and the EG about the rice sector in Tanzania, and you can see how it contributes to the GDP, export earnings, 45%, 30%. It's contributing to industry a lot, 65% of the national materials. And employment 65%. We are self-sufficient for more than 110% in rice, in food. Of the agricultural sector, crops contribute to 15%, and then we saw 7% forestry and fisheries 2%. When it comes to rice sector, as it is, the revenue of this rice sector is very important in our country. It employs about 20% of the farming household. And the consumption, we are self-sufficient for rice, although we import very little for special markets, and this is the basmati type of rice coming from Asia. And then per capita consumption in Tanzania is increasing. We are now about 25 to 20 kg per year. Most of the rice produced is consumed within the, about 30% consumed in the area of production. Yeah, as the statistics of rice production in Tanzania, rice production is increasing. As you can see, we reached about 3.4 million metric tons in the year 2018. But because of climate change effects, especially drought, for these 2 years, in 2020 and 2021, it has dropped. This is because of our drought. We faced a lot of drought, and that's why even the price of rice went high. And you can see, as we say, that the production depends much on increase in area and production, not on. Although we are increasing, there is increasing in productivity, but it's not much contributing to the amount of rice we have compared to increasing area and production. We have a lot of opportunities, as our leaders here said. We have available water resources for irrigation, and the estimated area for irrigation is about 29.4 million hectares. But when you categorize it, we have 3 categories. High potential is only 3 million hectares, and 4 million hectares for medium potential, and the low potential covers 22 million hectares. So we have potential for irrigation, but also we have fertile soils with the terrain that are suitable for rice. I mean the flatlands, the river basins. Also we have several institutes that are dedicated for rice, particularly IRRI, but we also have NGOs and other institutes that dedicate themselves for rice industry. We also have the increasing importance of rice as a staple in Tanzania, as they say also, and also the marketing that is surrounding us in the ESA countries. We also have, because rice is becoming more commercial, also more farmers are being interested to grow rice. And you know, rice in our country is more profitable than the rest of the cereals. We say if farmer wants to become rich, through rice you can become rich. Now, after talking about rice overview in our country, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about now what we are, the strategy now for rice research, and particularly in breeding. One breeding strategy that was with CGIAR, the issue is to concentrate all the efforts under one center for development of breeding materials, because it is easier. They have a lot of expertise and facilities. So what what is being done here is that after studying the market segment and getting the product concept from different countries, IRRI or CGIAR, they go to their gene bank. Their gene bank is very rich, so they take material from the gene bank and do parental selection to develop lines that are suitable with respect to the different market segments. Now they develop these materials up to A4 or sometimes OIT and AIT, and then these materials are now brought to the NAS. The NAS now is their job to select according to their needs. And that's what we are doing, and the presentation that I will be coming later, we'll be talking about what we see from how they are performing in our areas, and they are at what location. So, for that matter, we have uniform across the location, the area, but as I said, we have a centralized breeding, that's at IRRI, and integrated shared services, because the services are here. And the funds can also be utilized in a more efficient way. Now, I'll go direct to ongoing breeding activities that are happening in our country, and I'll talk about what is in the field now. I start with what is in the field now. At our station, at Tari Fakara and also Tari Dakawa, and also I'll talk about Zanzibar also. At Tari Fakara now, we are just getting familiarized with RJ. We have decided to use our breeding material. We have to go for RJ. And these are the materials that are in the field now. We have 23 plots, as you can see, and each of these plots is composed of 441 F2 plants. And these they are at F2. And the spacing we are using is 5 by 5 centimeter. But to impose to make it rapid multiplication. And we are trimming tillers to induce the stress for them so that they can mature earlier. And these materials, we are very grateful to the IRRI. They helped us to genotype them for looking for hybrids. And we actually had 28 process, but out of the 28 process, 23 become to have a sufficient enough number of hybrid lines that we are using. Also, the IRRI helped us to genotype the logo checks. And these logo checks were coming from these countries here: Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Zanzibar, Mozambique, and Burundi. The results are out, and we will now multiply the seeds of each of the plant that was genotyped so that we give back to the countries the real material that were genotyped. We have in our breeding programs nowadays, we have a lot of materials at different stages. And these activities here I present here are the in-country breeding efforts using our local funds. Because later we will see collaborative activities where we are supported by IRRI and other partners. We are at the stage of second season of evaluating multiplicational drought-tolerant rice lines, and they are very promising. Now we have finished collecting all the data, and we are waiting for analysis, and then we'll apply for NPT for this. We had 6 lines here, and probably we have seen for last season here, the results were promising. 2 lines, maybe we'll nominate them for NPT. We also have another set of drought-tolerant green lines. They are at the F6 and the one at F5. We also finished collecting the data, and these are not drought-tolerant, but we did the trial and good environment, favorable environment, so that we can select for potential. But they have tested, previously we tested them under drought and they are good. Sorry. Yeah. And in our breeding program, we, after the agri meeting in 2019, the issue came there was to use allied by allied materials. And the allied materials we expect to come from IRRI and other breeding programs, but also we take an initiative to start developing our own allies, because we know the issue of grain quality. Grain quality is very important, so that we needed to have our own allies first, the one which we can combine with the allies from it. You know, allies from CGIAR, sometimes they have genes of interest which we cannot incorporate. So we need to develop our own, at least to have very high yielding varieties, allied lines with the high yielding and quality for trades, for quality for eating and physical grain qualities. And for the rest, like disease, drought, and those genes that are very difficult to incorporate, maybe we'll outsource from CGIAR and then including our breeding program. And for that matter, we have F4 populations which we evaluated, and now they go to F5. For this year, we selected 61 lines for advancement. They have different backgrounds of high quality, super type kind of rice. Then they were coming from 117 that were previous selection. We also have another stage. Sorry for that. I was here. Okay. The next slide is also some material will go for AYT or RYT, because they are already at F6 now. Again, we have F2 populations for the same aim of creating allied materials. And we have 48 lines this year. We selected 34 lines for advancement for F3 for next season. This program also is continuing. We have F1 plants also at the field, the same objective, and we have 282 from 27 processes. And the 23 I told you there before, that are under RBI are coming from this combination of material. That was last year, now they are at F2 lines. We have F1 seeds also, but this we have also grown them under our station. They were from 28 process. This 28 process came from 11 parents. And this time we have 621 F1 seeds. Also we have grown them in our station. We are also advancing mutation lines for training from PhD 306. This year we brought 21 from each because we have materials that were irradiated by 150 gamma rays. The other one were 300. So we had 21 M2 materials, and we saw them in our station and selected. Now we selected 10 from 150. GY and 12, that's going to M3. Some of them are showing better performance compared to Saro. We're just looking for only great quality, yield, plant type. We didn't go further to look for other traits like disease or tolerance or whatever, but I think better will do it. Now coming to some of the collaborative activities, we usually receive materials from it every year, multiplication environment trials from IRRI, and from there we select some of lines which we can advance and select materials maybe for release or to introduce, to put them in our GM for breeding activities. And most of the time we receive 10 to 12 lines, and at the end maybe we select 2 or 4. For this time we have 6 lines which we use to evaluate with our turnover checks, and we have collected the data. We are waiting for analysis. Again, from the DSR we received last year. We had DSR stage 1. We selected some of the materials that were suitable for us. And our selection were on phenotypic acceptability in terms of grain and the plant type. So we selected the 57 from the DSR and the 60 lines from medium maturity. And we saw them at the station, and we selected some of the lines. The number until now I didn't put here, but we have selected some of the lines which we will advance. Now we have a lot of collaborative rice trials, especially with IRRI. Most of them are collaborative trials with IRRI. For this season, we had DSR stage 1. We also have a DSR AYT gels at stage 2. Also, we have another set for irrigated stage 2. Also, for stage 2, we have 2. And also, we have, as I said, this is as usual. Every year we receive met materials. You can see number of entries for each. And then the design for the DSR material were AfricaRice. And then we have harvested, the trials were successful. We have collected the data, we sent them to IRRI for analysis, and maybe we'll see the results for advancement this year. I think they have incorporated it in this year's advancement planning. Zanzibar also receives material from IRRI for evaluation, like we received for the mainland. It's almost similar materials, same material. They have evaluated them. They said they also have already harvested, and probably they have sent the results to IRRI. And this is how we do direct seeding. Most of the people when they visited us, they asked how do we do the direct seeding. And this is how we are doing it. We prepare the field well, we do the laying out of everything, putting label, and then we sow direct in dry soils or sometimes wet if there is a rainfall. And then this is how the field looks after sowing. I think everything visited us almost at the stage of this time. They were asking how do we do direct seeding. We do by using hand, not machines. Other collaborative trials, Advanta trial, and also advanced maturation season 2, and advanced maturation trials at Akapasi and Advanta. For nomination and releases in 2022, we released IRRI 3. It's very aromatic, almost similar to Saro 5 in terms of yield, but it's more aromatic and the grain quality is superior to compare to Saro. So maybe this one we are expecting it to be the replacer of Saro in the near years to come. When you come, we find varieties coming to replace Saro. And we also have seed system activities like purification of the varieties we have. We are also doing seed production basic for the supply ASA for early generation seeds, but also we produce certified seeds for farmers. And then we had another activity of purification widely grown land races, because some farmers they still need their local varieties, but they are not very pure. We help them to purify their varieties. Another seed system activities that we are having is under the SSPM project, and we have demonstration and trial experiments, and we have done it in several locations across the country. For demonstration, we had 21 sites, and for trial 47 and 51 trial sites. And we have finished all the data collection and farmers field schools. We had several farmers field schools across the country, and we have finished all the activities. We have data for analysis. At Dakawa now, Dakawa have several activities they are doing for developing new rice lines. For instance, they are targeting on grain quality, and they are working very hard on salinity. Sita is there, and also on blast tolerance. They also doing multiplication evaluation of promising lines they have in their stations in 3 locations, in 4 locations of Dakar, Mombo, Ifakara, and Kiela. And also, they have several evaluations at OIT, PYT, RIT, and OIT level. These are different sets of materials they are evaluating. These are the pictures of good pictures from Dakawa showing performance of salinity tolerant lines developed for fermentation. And you can see they also have OIT for different sets of lines. They are also advancing development lines for rapid generation. Like we are doing at Ifakara, they also have RGA activities going on there at Ifakara. They are also maintaining and purifying breeder seeds, same as we have. And because we have certain lines, RS3, and the rest belong to Tari Kakawa. They also submitted 4 lines for US and MPT. And Dhaka also utilizing air lines processing gene resistance to BLB, because BLB now is an issue. Big issue in Tanzania now. They have started working on how to develop new lines for BLB and blast tolerance. So they are using the materials that are from IRRI to develop our own lines. And this also I have spoken about it. And we are very grateful to thank our partners. We have several partners who are supporting us. And first of all, I would like to thank the government. You can see the Permanent Secretary said that the government is providing, increasing the budget for agriculture, and TARI is receiving more funds from the government. And also we are getting a lot of support from IRRI. Through IRRI also been supporting some of our research activities. And excellence in breeding. We are seeing through IRRI's projects. They have done a lot of support to us, particularly genotyping, training on modernizing research. We also are grateful to AfricaRice for their support. Having said so,
thanks, Casey, for taking us through the Tanzania sector, but also through the. I suggest there is a discussion at the end of this session, but if there is 1, 2, or 3 burning questions, you are welcome. Any questions or comments?
so maybe in the near future we may incorporate them either in our breeding program. And also, I'd like to say that this variety we use it very much in the materials we are developing. It's everywhere. Now we have a lot of among the F materials, F2, F3, F4 materials, we have lines from Momoka and our local languages.
So any?
Just a small one. The Tanzania presentation also include a presentation from Zanzibar. Now we have one from Zanzibar.
Knowledge sharing in that presentation. I have 2 questions. Tanzania is border with Burundi, and I saw farmers from Burundi can come to Tanzania and get some varieties, and also Burundians like Tanzanian varieties. I want your comment of that, and my second question is about Komboka. I want to know the yield of that varieties. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The yield of Komboka is about 8 tons per hectare. The potential. It's high potential, But the other merits of it is that very early maturing, within 110 days, 100 to 110 days, you can harvest.
Okay, thanks, Casey. If you have
Alex. So I want to know about the milling process for these varieties. You said the grain is too small. In Mozambique, we have a problem. The milling process need the milling grain.
Did you get the question?
The traders, they want, and plus consumers also. In Tanzania, they want bold, big grains. That's why there was a station for farmers to adopt it because of that. Those farmers who will get exposed, they like it by they eat. But at the end of the day, they say the grains are small and they cannot fetch market quickly. But when you come to sensory evaluation, they say it is better compared to other varieties, compared to other release varieties, because it has aroma and it has a good taste and it tastes good. Yeah. But for the grain size, the millers, if you don't mix, they can adjust their, because when you mill komboka, the good thing of it, it comes very, it doesn't break. Okay? It doesn't break, it becomes whole, the grain is whole, but the size is small. So if what we are advising farmers to be like in Kenya. In Kenya they have group of farmers who are doing komboka only. And when you take the rice to the machine, the milling machine, you can adjust the milling machine to that kind of small size, and then the grains come old. And if you have a same variety, you have a good marketing point.
Thanks, Casey. Big clap for Casey. So I'm inviting Ruth for Kenya.
Is it afternoon or good morning? Okay. Thank you so much. I want to take you through my presentation for Kenya. And I will take you through the rice sector in our country, then the challenges, our collaborative activities with IRRI, then conclusions and acknowledgements. Now, for Kenya, I think when it comes to rice production, we are still not doing quite well. As of 2022, we were at 125,000 metric tons. That is the amount which was produced in the country. But when you look at the consumption, we are really consuming a lot of rice, and that difference between what we produce and what we consume, actually, this is 9, sorry, it's not 7. It's catered for by imports, and we import a lot of rice. We import about 84%. As of 2022, it was about 84% of what we are consuming, we are actually importing. And we are seeing that the per capita consumption keeps on rising year by year, more especially because our population, about 50% is youth, and you find that most of them are really consuming a lot of rice. So we really need to do a lot so that we can reduce this gap. The other thing is that it's not that we have not made any efforts, but we have. In the first phase of the NRRD, yes, at least we were able to double our rice production, and this was through some of the technologies which were introduced, including improved varieties and mechanization. But then, when it comes to the National Rice Development Strategy 2, we actually want to increase production by 7-fold by 2030. But now, our government says that now we cannot wait until 2030. This needs to be done by 2027. So there is a lot which needs to be done so that at least we reduce that gap between consumption and production in our country. Now, we have several challenges. And I should say one of the major challenges which has been in our country is because actually most of our farmers, although it's changing, they are planting low-yielding varieties. And a big challenge has been because of, there is this variety we call the Basmati 370, or the Mishori variety, which is grown in the Mwea region. The variety is very low-yielding, although it fetches premium prices, but it cannot be able to cope up with the rising demand for rice in the country. Then we also have limited improved climate smart varieties for the unexploited upland ecology. In Kenya, the upland ecology, the potential for the upland ecology is about 1 million hectares. But we do not have good varieties for this ecology. So we still need varieties for this ecology. And then we have other challenges like drought and all the abiotic and biotic stresses. But then we are saying that the opportunities which are there, we need to do purposive promotion of the released varieties. Why am I saying purposive? We need to have concerted efforts to promote what we have released. Because if we do not promote, and we know these varieties are very high yielding, then we may not be able to meet the demand. Then for the upland ecology, we need varieties to be introduced, tested, and also released. Then continued collaboration so that we have more varieties released. And we have the direct seeded technology, which we also need it. And also, when it comes to the seed system, it is very important that we build our seed system so that the varieties which have been released, they can be able to reach the farmers when actually it's the certified seed which actually is being demanded by the farmers. Then the other thing which we are seeing as a challenge is what we are calling the unstructured markets. Unstructured market, what I mean is that you find that most of the farmers, their produce is being taken away by the traders, and they are getting actually very low prices on what they produce. So if we have the structured markets such that we can have cooperatives, then the farmers can have what we are calling collective pricing. They can price their paddy in such a way that they are not exploited by the traders. We also have issues with post-harvest, inadequate designated drying areas. This one, most of the traders or most of the millers, what they say is that the quality of paddy rice, which they buy from the farmers, is of low quality. And what contributes to this is because they do not dry their rice in a good manner. So you find that the quality goes down. A lot of capacity building needs to be done, especially for the extension staff and also for farmers, so that the millers get quality paddy rice. Now, this one we have done it together in collaboration with IRRI. These are the market segments and pipelines for Kenya. And for Kenya, we have the direct seeded early maturity, early duration, and we also have the transplanted medium duration. And for this is what we have done. For the transplanted medium duration, long, slender, soft grain, this is for the irrigated lowland and favorable rain-fed lowland ecology. And we are seeing that currently we only have about 32,988 hectares. But we are saying by 2030, we need to increase this to around 171,000 hectares. And the potential for this market segment is about 540,000 hectares. Now, these are the counties where you find this kind of market segment. And the famous, the Mwea area, which is in the central, is within this market segment. So if at all we can be able to achieve this, then I think we can be able to reduce the amount of imports which is coming in the country. Then we have another one, which we are calling the direct seeded soil. So we have the direct seeded early maturing, which is long, slender, soft grain. This is actually the upland and rain-fed lowland shallow ecology. We are saying currently we are at 10,000 hectares, but we would like to increase this to around 52,000 hectares. And this ecology actually, or this market segment, the potential for the country is about 1 million hectares. So you can imagine if we can be able to achieve this, then we can be self-sufficient in rice, but it needs a lot of concerted efforts. And we have about 15 counties in the country where you find this kind of market segment. Now, for the breeding strategy, we use what we remember for the CGIAR, we have the one rice breeding strategy, and for Karo we have what we are calling the Karo one rice strategy. And actually what happens is that usually we receive materials from IRRI, and these materials, because we have already developed the product concept together with IRRI, we have the elite by elite breeding, then the genome selection, that is what we use in order to select very good materials. And then from there we have the regional trials and advancements, seed system focus, and end-to-end product delivery. Actually, through this kind of strategy, we have been able to ensure that the materials we are breeding in collaboration with IRRI, they are actually reaching the farmers. Now, for the breeding activities, we have been receiving materials from the rain-fed core panel 1 up to 3. And once we receive these materials, we have the stage 1, which is usually the observation youth trial. And from the observation youth trial of the stage 1, we do a selection of 20%. And these materials, they go to stage 2. From stage 2, we can have the multi-location trials, And from the multiplication trials usually have the trigots, the VCTs, and then from there, we identify one or two lines which are then released or taken to the national performance trials, and then they are released. And through this, you can be able to, sorry, please. Now, yeah, I think this one is, now it's stuck. So for the ongoing breeding activities, for the RCP1 up to 3, we have been able to do some selections. P1, we selected about 20 lines. From there, we also reduced them to about 10. And from there, we reduced them to about 4, which are now under. Yeah. Then we also have the estimation trials. We also evaluate, these are evaluated in where? In IRRI. And from there we do selections. From these selections we advance them the same way. We ensure that at least from every evaluation we have 1 or 2 breeding lines which can go to the national performance trial. Then we are also having the direct seeded rice technology, and this is under the excellence in breeding. We have a facility, the DSR facility, which is actually stationed in where? From these were then reduced to around 33 entries. And from these entries, the IRRI team has been able to select at least 3 best entries, and these entries are now being evaluated under the scale direct in the Western region. I would like to go straight to the ongoing seed system activities, and this is under the Seed Equal sub-project. The first sub-project, which was, we started in 2022, and it is ongoing. It is the validation of new rice lines and speeding up adoption of released rice varieties through tricot and variety cafeteria trials. And the main objective of this was to assess the genetic gain of the released varieties, the internet has a problem. Genetic gain of replacing local varieties with improved varieties, to identify the most preferred improved rice variety by farmers under the local conditions, and to establish performance of released and new near release varieties under farmers' condition. So under this we have had and 26 location for the variety cafeteria trials. And as we did the demos, we also held some field days. As you can see, those are the varieties or the breeding lines which we selected in RCP1. These are the breeding lines which went to the trichots. And we had checks, and our global check here was the Komboka variety. We really wanted to find out, in these new lines, are there any lines which are better than Komboka, or are there lines which we can be able to use in our breeding program? And then we had the local checks, because in each of these regions, there are the varieties which are preferred by farmers. For example, in the Western region, we have the IRRI 2703. When you can see, for example, in Tabeta, we have the Saro 5. Saro 5 has not been released in Kenya, but it is being grown by farmers in the Tabeta region, and that is why we used it as a check. For the varietal cafeteria trials, our major variety here, which we really wanted to promote, was the CSR 36. CSR 36 is saline tolerant, and that is why we are more interested in promoting it, more especially in the coastal region where we have issues with salinity. So from the VCTs, or the variety cafeteria trials, we are able to at least promote the CSR 36, and in these few days, we had about 765 farmers. In total, the participants who participated in all those few days, we had around 995. So you can see the kind of promotions we are doing to the new varieties. And when we are doing the few days, we ensure that all the rice stakeholders are involved, including the policymakers. Because if the policymakers are not involved, no matter how you try to do your promotions, they may not be able to really assist you, so that, for example, if you need seed, they are the ones actually who help you so that we get funds to be able to produce the seed which is required for those varieties. Then on the trichots, from our evaluations, we have been able to select at least 4 breeding lines, and these ones we are evaluating them as from this season, that is in 2023-2024, under the Seed Equal project. Yeah, I think you can see those. When we are doing our demos, our tripods, VCTs, few days, we also do participatory varietal selection, because we want to hear from the farmers, from the stakeholders. What is their preferred variety? And from this, it will guide us so that we can be able to release the varieties which are preferred by the farmers and the other stakeholders. Then we have another sub-project which we did, that is Certified Rice Seed Production Training Workshop for seed growers and farmers. The reason why we did this kind of workshop is because we want to train more seed growers. We also want to train the seed merchants, so that when they are producing the seed, at least they know what are the requirements by KEVIS. And from this kind of work, in December 2022, we are able to train about 25 trainees, and these were from the seed merchants. We also had others from the agrovets, and we trained them together with the extension officers. In March, on March 2023, we trained about 16 of them. And we have seen that through these trainings, the seed merchants do not have problem in getting rice seed production handbook for Kenya. And after we have published this handbook, it is going to be used by the seed merchants, the seed growers. Also, it will be very easy for KEFIs, because they are the inspectors of seed, to be able to follow very well with the seed merchants. Then another thing we did was through Dr. Sankar, we were able to get 2 seed growers, 2 seed dressers. One of the seed dressers went to MRGM. MRGM is a cooperative in irrigation scheme. And the other one went to cow keepers. And the launching or the hunting of these dressers was in 12th June 2023 for the MRGM. And for the cow keepers, it was in 1st August 2023. Actually, it's the beginning of this month. So the reason why we are doing this, seed is very important. And if we do not have the machinery, especially for dressing that seed, we are finding is a real challenge. We find that we are producing volumes, but we cannot be able to process that seed. And in Kenya, if we do not pass through KEFI certification regulations, you cannot be able to sell your seed. And that is why actually we want more and more seed merchants to be able to get the seed dressers. Then our efforts on seed, more especially on seed for Komboka, we have been able to raise the volumes. We started with around 1,500 kgs back in 2019-2020. And as of now, we are producing about 125,000 kgs. That is 125 tons of seed. But we cannot be able to meet the demand. We really need to produce a lot of seed, because our estimate is that per year we need to produce about 3,000 tons of Komboka seed for the whole country. So this is just a small percentage of what we are doing. Then evaluating the potential and impact of Komboka rice variety in Kenya. This one we have just completed, and the survey was done in Mwea, Nyanza and Western region and Tana River, with about 716 respondents. The data analysis is ongoing, and I think it is very positive. We are seeing the adoption of Komboka is going up and up, and we believe that in the next 5 years, the whole of the country may be growing that variety. Then the DUS, we have 2 varieties in DUS, 08 Fanten, which we are calling Nikombozi, and then the CSR 36. Our nominations for next year, among the 4 varieties, at least 2 will be nominated for the National Performance Trials. Then in conclusion, we want to say that we want to continue development, release and upscaling of high-yielding climate-smart varieties. Then improvement of infrastructure for screening of different biotic and biotic stresses. Development and commissioning of the DSR facility. This one we have not done, so it will be done very soon. Develop upscaling and seed production strategies. We need to continue with seed production, especially for the released varieties, and then capacity building of researchers and technicians. We are very grateful to IRRI. Actually, they have been of great help in our country, more especially when it comes to rice. And we really want to thank you for what you are doing in Kenya. And I think with a good plan, we can be able to achieve much and reduce that gap between consumption and production. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your good presentation. So keep your question and comments.
We implemented a program known as East African Agricultural Eastern Africa Agricultural Productivity Program. Now in that program, we shared so many technologies. For our case in Tanzania, we shared with Kenya, also with Uganda, a number of varieties, rice varieties released in this country. That include Salo 5. So as we speak today, she said, Lucy said, still Salo 5 has not been released in Kenya. Now the question is, you know, if you have one variety released in one country, for example in the region, you don't need again to do AYT, you know, going through all these hurdles. You can just share the information we have in the region and you can fast track release. But now, Ruth, as we're speaking now, Salo 5 has not been released. What is going on in Kenya?
Casey, you are aware of the story. The problem is not in Kenya. I think there were some issues which he never agreed on, and we can agree on that. Because Salo 5, actually we need the variety. It was under the IRRI project. It was to be released in all those countries which were within that country. But the variety actually is like, guessing you know the story. I don't want to expand much. I think we can meet later.
Can I advise you? Don't bring this.
Maybe I can just comment a little bit. I think the other was in seed production, which I think the two institutions need to settle on the breeders in production. That was the main issue. Okay, I think that the management, and now with the DG raising the issue, we need to follow it up.
Now it is sorted out. Any comment for online participants? So let's move to the...
This is the outline, price overview, opportunities, ongoing activities, network trials data, release nominations, ongoing seed system activities, conclusions and acknowledgements. Rice is one of the most strategic commodity for the world food security and economic growth. That's the reason we are here to talk about rice. In Mozambique, rice ranks the second most important cereal. The second most important cereal after maize or corn. The rice production in Mozambique has been increasing these recent years, but unfortunately is not due to yield, but due to landing increment. Because the yield in Mozambique, they are still low, around 1.2 to 1.5. And the low yields are due to many problems, and we take these problems or challenges as opportunities for intervention. And the first opportunity we call the land availability. Mozambique has a potential of around 900,000 hectares for rice production, but we are only using around 1/3 of the area. So we have this opportunity, and not only land, but also water. For our irrigation, we only use 5%, but we have around 150,000 hectares available to build irrigation schemes. So it's another opportunity. We have rice demand. We produce around less than 400,000 tons, but we consume around 605,000 tons. So we have around a deficit of 300,000 tons. So this is another opportunity. we see access and availability of seed because most of our farmers, they don't use improved varieties, and they have around 30% of them, they still buy seed from their neighbors. Because of this deficit, we see that as an opportunity for market opportunity for local farmers and even small milling entrepreneurs to link, because we have raw material and we can create raw material for the small milling farmers, small milling entrepreneurs, companies. And another opportunity we see is the partnership with the private sector. For nowadays, all the foundation seed is produced by IRRI, but we see an open space to include the private sector to do the foundation seed, and even to take the small farmers to start doing certified seed. One big opportunity that we think we have is the center, Rice Center of Leadership for Southern Africa. It was built in 2020, but till now is just facing many problems, not all operating yet. We have labs, we have fields, we have many facilities that could be used, but still with the finance problems. Ongoing breeding activity, this is basically for IIM. In the past, we used to have a lot of work, a lot of crossings, but nowadays, the same problem, funding problems, and we are not doing much, but we are still doing something. So in Shongwe, in Gaza province, south area, we are developing lines for cold tolerance. It's there in advanced lines now. And in Umeluze, we tried to do the pre-breeding the last season, but unfortunately we lost with the floods. There were 11 local varieties, and that were supposed to be crossed with Makassar and Simao, and they are our varieties, released varieties, our elite varieties, and another 3 from Chinese agricultural science, something. And in Amapura, we are also doing pre-breeding with some local varieties also. In all these 3 stations, we are doing also seed purification. Those are the varieties we are working with. Muselu, Makasan, Simao, and in Chobe, they are using this, they are purifying the IR64. And not only in this region, also the seed purification is being performing also in Nampula. In partnership with IRRI, Mozambique is working with 2 pipelines, all of them direct seed. So we have early maturity for central area, Zambezi province. We are working with in Namakura in the Nikwadala district. During the rain season, we lost, because we also had floods, we lost the stage 2, but we now we have in field the advanced yield trials with 16 lines and 4 sheds. In south, we are working with medium maturity, it's all irrigated, and during the rain season they had 2. First, the stage 1 with 216 lines, 2 replications, and stage 2 with 50 entries, 2 replications also. In Maputo, Matutin district, the estimation said stage 1 was lost, the second replication was lost due to to flood. And the Shai district in Gaza, they lost all, unfortunately. Our nominations, we have been working for a long time. The four first are from IIM. They are, most of them, the medium duration lines, and we have one short duration. And the yields range from 6 to 7.5. But we also have some from IRRI. They've been working for a long time, but and we have these ones. They also from medium duration, and in total, most of them are from rain-fed lowlands. Only one is for irrigated. So for seed system, we are working in Iguadala and Namakura for Zambezia. So in Iguadala, we had this. Not only in Iguadala, all the seed system is they are promoting and disseminating the released varieties, and then in Iguadala they have this DSR. But because we lost the trials, we now are doing seed maintenance and multiplication around 1 hectare. And the objective is to use in the next season for the plant direct project in Iguadala. In Namakura, we had these three core trials where we have 3 release varieties selected, and 1 farmer variety selected by the farmer. And we set up 10 demonstration plots, and during the field days we do the selecting of the best one. In our last field days, the selected was Makasani. In Chope, is the south region, we have this rice variety cafeteria with 7 varieties, the same 7 I told. And 5 fields and 3 replications, sorry, not 4, 3 replications. And we were able, 1 in station, 1 with the lead farmers, and the other 3 normal farmers. In conclusion, we have been affected by the climate change. We had floods, droughts, and cyclones this year. And they are affecting our trials, so we see it as a problem. We have to reinforce the generation and dissemination, multiplication of good quality seeds through breeding and seed system. And we want to enhance this to sensitize the farmers to adopt the new techniques for rice production, and such as high yield varieties. This is one of the things we are trying to promote and sensitize the farmers. We want to acknowledge the following: the IRRI, AfricaRice, AgriCardesa, but we don't want to forget the excellence in breeding that are helping us, and the 1 CGIAR also. Thank you.
Thanks, Minister.